I'm sitting down with the Valor guys. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves a little bit. You guys will see the entire lyophilization process, the walkthroughs for the facilities and everything like that. I just want you guys to meet these guys because honestly, some of the nicest genuine people that I've come across.
And appreciate that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I'm Matt. So I've just retired from the military about a year ago. Did 21 years, the last 10 of which as a PA, physician assistant. So about 3 years ago, started a wellness clinic. Really started pushing medical weight loss, hormone replacement therapy, and then a lot of different peptides. So I just found that from the way I was able to help my patients, and then just the interest that I had personally in peptides, I knew that somehow I wanted to get into the peptide space. And then kind of rewinding about 5 years, I worked with Kyle. We were stationed in Japan together, and we ran a medical clinic, did a lot of primary care. But anyway, that's kind of how we developed our friendship, and we'd always talked about doing something together, some kind of business together. Weren't exactly sure what that would look like, but we knew we wanted to do something. He started selling for my pharmacy about over a year ago, and then he really came up with the idea, and we just kind of talked about it and figured out a game plan, and he's just done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's done the vast majority of this, and he's just really crushing it. So
no, we the steps to getting here, going back to our time in Japan, like you said, we always knew we wanted to do something together, and it turned out being this. So and we're excited for it going forward, and we're looking forward to this launch.
Yeah. So when was like the first time you heard about a peptide? Like, I know you said you've been in PA for a while.
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, honestly, it was probably with the GLPs once they started, building up steam. It was always Ozempic, and then kind of figured out what that was. And then as soon as I got into the wellness space is when it was all really self-taught, like most people that have peptide knowledge, right? Just getting online, watching YouTube videos, reading. I like real data, so read a lot of studies and things like that as well. And then I started using different growth hormone peptides, would have been in 2022.
Okay.
A little over 3 years ago. So I've done several different growth hormone peptides. Love BPC, that's probably my favorite, just from the injury healing standpoint. I've always been very active, weightlifting, just military career, had a lot of bumps and bruises, aches and pains, and I feel better now at 41 than I did at 30, to be honest with you. And BPC is a big piece of that, along with I think the growth hormone peptides, and then I've done several others for short periods of time too.
How about you?
Yeah, mine was, if you want to call it a peptide, mine was ACG. So I started TRT a few years ago. Started ACG with it, and then I just kind of dove into that world. And I've been kind of addicted to it ever since. I looked at doing, I looked at trying to test them around for a couple years, and it was just so expensive that I didn't want to pull the trigger on it. So the first one I actually tried was actually BPC also, because he told me about it. So gave it a try. I love BPC. I think my personal favorite now is probably GHK, just because. Well, no, that's not true. My personal favorite is Selink. If there's one peptide that I would bet a month's pay on that it works, is Selink. It's the best I've ever slept through the night, I think, in my life. The anti-anxiety effects that it have are very real, and it works. Second to that's probably GHK, just because I've seen, especially being on TRT, the certain side effects with oily skin, acne, stuff like that. GHK has definitely helped with that. One of my wife's favorite things to do is pop bumps from TRT, right? So like, there's no more for her to get because of GHK. So those are my two favorites and my introduction to them.
Yeah, nice. So what kind of made you guys make the shift of like, I'm gonna go into the research space and do it right. I know you said you have some experience with like other research companies in the past, and like what kind of made that jump and was like, we're gonna come in and do it correctly?
Yeah, so I mean, going back years from us sitting in the office talking about stuff together, there's always, when you see something and you know you can do it better, has been my motivation to do something, to start something, right? So the companies I had ordered from originally, I know the first time I ordered from one in particular, I had to get a new shipment because it just wouldn't mix, the peptide wouldn't mix. And that was one of my first experiences. So, you know, looking at that, and just knowing that we could do it better. And then when we started doing everything, well, when Matt, you know, started doing the pharmacy, I started working with him in that. We just had a whole market that was untouched in the research space, right? And it's something that we were prepared for because we have all the equipment for it. Why not do it?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that led to the conversations that we've had, and here we are about to do this launch, you know, with you, and it's exciting, and that's kind of my driving force behind it. Is there's a way to perfect it, there's a way to do it better, and if anybody can do it, I think it's us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I second everything Kyle says. It's so hard to know that you're getting what you're told that you're getting. Even, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of companies that use different testing facilities that you can pay to get your testing results listed the way you want them to. Which, if that's the case, you might as well just go make one on PowerPoint yourself, right? So I want to make sure that we use analytical labs that we trust, which we've been able to find, and then just doing it everything here in-house in the United States from beginning to end, getting the raw material, compounding it, freezing it, and then going through the lyophilization process, so the freeze drying. Just want everything to be perfect and 100% legitimate. That way when a customer buys from us, they're getting exactly what we tell them they're getting, and we have the proof to back that up.
Yeah. So starting from the whole, when you thought about doing this, the lyophilization process, we talked about this there a little bit.
Sure.
We talked about how, you know, a lot of people think they can do it, or, you know, they claim to be doing it all right, but there's a lot of steps in between. So
there absolutely is. Yeah. So I personally, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought that because you buy it in a powder, you just measure it out and you put that much powder in a vial, right? I mean, that was naive. So yeah, I mean, we've had bumps and bruises along the way as far as fill volumes and all that. You actually lose some product through the lyophilization process. So we overfill by 20%, and then that way, once it's freeze dried and tested, it comes back at or above the quantity that we're trying to get to.
Yeah. So like they're gonna see the whole process of like me in there with Sam, but like I refilled the 1.2 ml, and then by the time that actually goes through the entire lyophilization process, you'll lose it, and it'll go down to like whatever you want. So like that process, people don't realize how much money goes into that, how much R&D of like perfecting that process. She's got it down to a science at this point of checking everything off. One of the main things is the like maintaining a proper clean room for that. I was just, while I was sitting there like going through there, like getting all cleaned up to get in there, like everything with the shoes, getting under your nails, you have to like wash off, like that entire process. What goes into like maintaining that clean room, because that is certified, right?
Absolutely, yeah, it is. In fact, we just had another certification yesterday. We get it every 6 months, or not yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Every 6 months we get our clean room certified. Yeah, I mean, it's like going into an operating room, right? As a surgeon, you completely scrub in, clean underneath the fingernails, everywhere else. Want very, very sterile environment. If there's anything that's out of compliance, it requires a triple clean, which means that you're going in there with the wipes, you're wiping everything down 3 times. And we have phenomenal technicians that make sure that what we're having them do is being done the right way and the safest way.
Yeah. That whole area, it was, even surprising from even on the hood, if anything, like while they're doing the process of actually filling it to putting, the little stoppers in for the caps and, everything. If something touches the hood, leave it, or we'll clean it up like after like the process is over. We don't use that kind of thing. Set it to the side.
Yeah.
And then even I was surprised from like the outside of it. I think the people don't realize like the raw powders that you get and stuff. Like there's a difference between research grade and like farmer grade, and there are like FDA. There's a couple FDA like
absolutely, yes. So there are several facilities that make the raw material, and only some of them are considered pharma grade, whereas the others are research grade. Really comes down to purity, and it's just important that there's a difference, right? There's
100%.
There's good and there's great, and we want great. So that's why we use the API suppliers that we use, making sure that we're getting the highest quality products that are out there.
Yeah, and I've seen it. We did a couple of reconstitution videos in here earlier of just the GHK, and we did a BPC as well. And as it's flowing in there, like even the backwater, it's like other times I'm mixing it for 3 to 5 minutes to try to get like those little specks off. This is literally, it's like it just feels like sand compared to something that's like rough and like won't like fully mix. You can tell the difference there for sure. And Sam was telling me like you guys, you get a COA with that from the FDA facility, and then you guys test it again to make sure that it is what it says it is.
Absolutely.
And, like you guys use it with the labs. I know you guys use Eagle Analytical.
We do.
Vanguard for the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think Eagle, is that the one that tests the raws as well for you guys?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I don't think a lot of people have heard of them, especially in the research side. Like there's a couple like labs people have heard of, but that, actually testing that raw powder in the step, people think, okay, if you have the raw powder tested, you don't have to do anything else in the process, which
that's just the first step.
That's the first step.
Exactly,
right? Before you do anything.
Because after that, I mean, no matter how clean of an environment you're in, you still want that sterility testing afterwards to make sure that it's safe to inject, the endotoxin testing. The last thing you would want to do is buy something, think that you're getting a product that's going to help you in one way or another, and you end up injecting something that leads to some type of infection. So the sterility and endotoxin are a very very important factor in all of this for sure. Yeah, and even from that side of it, it surprises me how many people claim to be like lyophilizing and then they don't worry about the endotoxin or sterility test. But also the overfill and underfill on some of this stuff is drastic. Yeah, no, I can imagine. It's if you're buying compounded medication and then lyophilizing it, you're not going to end up with the same amount that you started with. So, I don't know what everybody else is doing. I just don't think that many people are doing it the way we're doing it. I'll say that.
I mean, if you look at the whole process, right, before the vial lands delivered, I mean, that API or that what's in that vial is being tested 3 times, right? We're getting it from a regulated manufacturer. It's coming with a test. We're receiving it. We're testing it again. We're going, and you saw we have the lyophilizer, the freezer. Everything's in that clean room. Everything's staying sterile the entire time up until the consumer gets that order. So everything's staying not just sterile, but it's being tested 3 times. Once we complete that lyophilization process, we're sending it out for testing again. And like Matt was talking about with the amount of loss, our first couple goes at this, we didn't get out what we put in. It was a lot less, and that was our learning curve there. And we've Sam's done a great job with perfecting that process, getting it down to a science. The way that we're filling the vials now. So everything between the sterility, the testing, I just think we try as hard as we can to perfect the whole process. And with that too, I mean, that's all. Every step you add is another expense.
It is.
Right, that a lot of people don't want to do.
Right.
But it's something that we
it's important to us to do it the right way every time. Bottom line.
If you're gonna do it right, kind of thing. And like even some of the stuff that you were telling me, like there's the learning curve to it. Like the freezing point of like Redditrutide or something like that. You guys had the wrong deep freezer for that.
Yeah, we did. It got down to -40 degrees Celsius, and why wouldn't that be cold enough? Well, we found out it needs to be at -80, so we got the right
Yeah.
freezer, and I mean, we've got a freezer now that gets down to, I think it's -120 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
So each peptide is a little bit different. The molecular structure of it requires different things in order to get it down into the form that we want it to be in, which obviously is powder. So
Yeah. No, I saw. I think when I was in there, it was like -83 in the
Okay,
thing, and,
yeah.
and Sam was like, I didn't wear gloves the one time, and it hurt. So
yeah.
you gotta be careful. With
Oh,
it.
that's cold. That's very cold.
So yeah, no, I'm glad like somebody came in to do it right, because I think a lot of people like they estimate out an expense of what it would be, and then they run into all these mistakes. And you know, every single time you guys are going through, and you have the background to do it, coming from like the pharmacy side and like
Sure.
being in this for a little bit. I think a lot of people would have shortcut it somewhere, and then something like that happens. Now they're out all that money, like, you know, getting it right from the start, which I think people appreciate the most. Like, you're launching with it correctly. Like,
Yeah.
you went through this whole process, and we were talking in the car this morning. Like, you planned to maybe like launch like July, like June or July, something like that, like way back, and it just took way longer.
It did. Yeah. We thought it would be easy.
Mm-hmm.
We were probably naive, but
Yeah.
no, it wasn't easy. But we're here now, and you know, if we're 3-4 months behind schedule, but we're doing it the right way, then that's absolutely fine with both of us. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think especially you guys too. Like we're gonna do the walkthrough of like the facilities that they'll see and everything like that. Like, I guess you can just talk about like the team and like the overall space that you guys have to grow this thing into
Sure.
something massive. I think the potential there is like something not a lot of people see, because they think, you know, like other companies, like research companies, they think it's all just like, you know, you're drop shipping and doing this stuff, and you just need like, it's gonna be you and a customer service person, but you guys actually have the infrastructure set up. So
absolutely, yeah. We've got multiple clean rooms, a 15,000 square foot facility. All the machines that we need right now will be getting more as we start to generate some revenue, bigger lyophilizers, bigger freezers, just allow things to be done just as effectively, but faster, more efficiently.
Yeah, just putting back into it to
Exactly.
you know, keep the process spinning as
Yep.
as it grows, for sure. And yeah, that's the other thing too. I think overall, like just growing into it, you guys have like kept reinvesting into this to do it right from the start. I think people are gonna be shocked when they like, you know, I think when they watch that lyophilization video of like the entire process of how everything's done right from the start, because you know everybody has that background in getting the right like team in place, getting the right people in place from that side of it. And then also you guys, you know, being in that pharmacy space, knowing how to bulk order these, you know, all the equipment needed, the vial sizes, the, you know, the caps, the crimps, which we can talk about, is like the other thing. We were talking about the list today of like the peptides that we saw like degrade, like which ones should be in amber vials, which ones should be in like clean ones. Like all that experience is like invaluable to like
Absolutely.
bring to the space. So like I'm confident that like everything's being, you know, even looked into more of like actually getting it to a good spot. Like, you know, some people would just throw everything in a clear vial. It doesn't matter if it degrades or not. Like, just ship it anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, what were some of those that like popped up? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah. So whether it was their trials or just different investigational. What's the word?
Studies.
Yeah, studies.
Yeah.
You know, certain ones showed to degrade faster when UV light hit them, right? So NAD is one of them, glutathione is one of them, CAG was one of those as well. There's a couple of PT140, B12. Quite a few of the vitamins are actually. PT141 is technically one. So there's some who, you know, you put them in the vial, in the amber vial for extra protection. A lot of times people keep the stuff in the fridge anyway. We store ours in either a dark room or a refrigerator, so it's not hitting light. But you know, we want to take care of the product, right? So if it calls for being in an amber vial, we have amber vials ready to go. If it can go in a clear, we have clear. So
Yeah, because even if we're keeping it out of light here, once it leaves our facility and it gets to the end user, we don't want them to have to worry about, you know, light exposure and things like that. So if it's in the right vial, it'll be just fine for them.
I think that's what people appreciate the most, like the walkthrough of like how everything's being stored, like all the supplies, like everything's ready to go, where it's not, you know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff is, the transparency there of like how stuff is stored. The end consumer never knows that. They see a website and that's all they see. They
Yep.
see the product getting shipped to their door, so you have no idea if that's gonna last. That's gonna last like for 2 years. Like the APIs, like for example, have like a date on them, like
Right.
that they're supposed to be either like retested to make sure it's still like got the purity there or anything like that. But like with this, it's at least like going through the proper chain of custody
Absolutely.
for it. So like for that stuff in specific, like the raw powders and stuff, like from the FDA facility, that I think they'll see some of it. It just got like a date when it was tested, and then they give you what, like 2 years out for that. Like that's
Yes, it's 2 years from the initial testing of the product.
Yeah, and I think the thing people will appreciate too about the turnaround time here is there's not that lag period between somebody that's getting it from overseas and reselling it. You guys
For sure.
have the raw powder, when it was tested, you're doing it here. So the entire process is honestly the longest part of the process is getting it tested from a third party.
It is,
facility.
yeah.
And that's one of the parts we hate the most because we don't like relying on anybody else, right? But
Yeah.
it just comes with the space. I mean, if we were testing stuff ourselves and sending it out, people probably wouldn't like it too much, right? You need a third party independent tester. So that's really the only thing we don't have control of right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to stay that way, right? I mean, you have to get a third party tested. So
Yeah.
we pay for expedited testing to try to get it out, quicker. It does. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how backed up the lab are. It's like FedEx or UPS, right? As soon as they have a package, there's nothing that the shipper can do about it, right?
100%.
So it's just a matter of waiting, just like waiting on a package. So that's the part we hate the most, but it's a necessary part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's something people should know too, like when the site does go live, if anything goes out of stock, like you guys probably have the quickest turnaround time out of anybody. If it's not already in the process of getting tested, like it's, you guys can lifelize more, you can you can do custom stuff if like, that's something the community's like interested in. I think it's just a really unique opportunity overall. I know we were brainstorming back and forth, just the amount of possibilities with different size of stuff, different, blends, like there's limitless like opportunities there.
That's a great point on the blends, because as we get rolling, we really want feedback from our customers, and if there's specific blends that people want to try, we'd love to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, I haven't talked to you directly about this, but down the line, is there like capsules or anything like coming potentially?
Yes, we're open to definitely capsules. There's some other sublingual options that we've looked into, and it's as much about being able to provide what our customers want as it is anything else, right? If there's a demand for it and people are interested, we want to be able to provide that for them.
Yeah, I think people will be really like, especially that from that regard of like actually getting a farmer grade API to lyophilization process where the whole thing is through. Even some of the normal like peptide stuff that they've been using, they're definitely interested in seeing if it, I could definitely guess it would give a better result for less overall milligram amount, because that purity, like that difference of your guys' test of a 99.8% purity, I'd have to imagine there's a difference between a research grade 99.8% purity. There's some stuff that you can't see like right off the bat, but just knowing the process behind it, I think people will be interested in that for sure. And then I guess just overall for more of like the company side of things, we walked through yesterday like where stuff will get like shipped out of, and like how it'll get packaged up and everything. I think you guys have done a really good job of bringing that value of the actual packaging and experience to the customer with the branding behind it and the transparency. So like what was kind of the thought process there of like that side? Like was there ever a thought of going, let's go as cheap as possible to try to get the stuff out, let's try to like...
There really wasn't. We always just wanted to be the best. I mean, it's as simple as that. I think we both kind of just live that way. We want to be the best. If we're going to do it, we want to go 100% bottom line. So I mean, Kyle did all of the packaging and the logo design. I think I helped him with the name, but as far as everything else on the packaging, yeah, he found it and he made it happen, showed it to me. I loved it.
That's
He
awesome.
loved it. So we're just gonna, continue to just make small tweaks, small improvements every day. Just get a little bit better. Honestly,
That's awesome because I think a lot of people will be surprised with how much they're getting out of it with the whole, doing everything right. A lot, like I've seen comments, it's like, okay, yeah, if anybody actually does this, it's going to be 3 times the cost of anything I'm used to. And we looked at some of the pricing today, and it's not.
yeah, that's the that was another thing that was important to us. Is not only do we want the best products, but we still want to have very, very competitive prices.
Absolutely.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be lowest price on a lot of products, and if not the lowest, very close to it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that was one of our biggest goals. We want a luxury feel, a premium feel,
Yeah.
with not a luxury or premium cost. And I think we've delivered that pretty well so far, and we're going to continue to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too, because the way I got into this was because you can't, if you go through a compounding pharmacy or you go through one of these health clinics that like is just prescribing you stuff because they're probably getting a commission on their side of it, a pretty hefty chunk,
absolutely.
and they're upcharging for it. But like the main thing was to make it affordable, where like you're not. And I think with the research space, a lot of people think like, okay, like yeah, like I'm willing to take, I'm willing not to know too much about the company back end to pay an affordable price as long as it's working for me. And they kind of just set a lot of things aside and like not. They're like, okay, I'll never know like the back end or like how it's stored or anything like that, and I'm willing to take that chance. But,
Yeah, and that's something we want to change.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to change that in the space. We have the ability to do it. I mean, they're going to see everything from the lyophilization process to our buildings, to our offices, and everything everything's out there now.
It is.
And we want that. We want people to be able to see that. Some of these, there are companies out there. It's a guy storing this stuff in his kitchen cabinets, and shipping it out with a label on it. And we want to show that the space can be different. It's going to be different. And starting right now, Sunday, October 19th, it's going to be different.
Yeah, and I want to let them know too. Like the entire time since I got here, you're like, walk through it, record whatever you want. Like literally. Walk through the entire process of the thing. Like these are both of our facilities. We're an open book.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. If you're doing it right, you don't have to hide anything.
Yeah.
So.
I've been, since I got here, very impressed with honestly like the whole setup and the team that you guys have built for both sides. You know what I mean? Just and then going into like Valor, like people are trying to run this as a one-person show, cutting corners somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's either like on the actual part of it could be testing, it could be customer service, some stuff like that. I feel like you guys, from that side of it, you guys have the opportunity to really, kind of take over that aspect because you poured so much into it from the beginning.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So no, that's probably the biggest thing I've seen is just like here's everything. It's wide open. Like honestly, since I got here, and it's been awesome. From the jump.
Good. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Yeah.
So
we've enjoyed having you out here for sure.
Yeah, no, and like these conversations have been happening like all weekend. We're like finally here. We got to sit down and like actually record it.
Yeah.
So I think from like that side of it, even with like how open you guys have been with like the whole process of retesting stuff, like sending it back out, like even some companies they'd send. Something like you guys want all your COAs consistent, which is another thing we talked about. Is like one of them got sent to a different facility, and we want them all to be consistent from like Vanguard. Like the biggest hesitancy I've seen in the space for like the research side is like we already tested it once. It's all good. Like you know what I mean.
Right.
As long as we have like the standard right now is like a net purity and net content, and like from the beginning, what impressed me the most was like sterility, endotoxins are on there, plus you're testing like the raw material. I think that's something people like want to see more of, especially like even jumping to endotoxins, not even like the sterility portion yet, but I think that's where it's moving. I think you're gonna set a lot of standards there.
Yeah, I think endotoxins too is something that a lot of people say, it never fails. I personally have seen 2 COAs posted on a site that have failed, and people just, they don't know, right? So, I mean, we aren't going to send anything that we wouldn't stand beside.
Yeah.
And that goes into the testing, that goes into everything, everything being part of that sterile procedure, and we're going to maintain that. We aren't going to it's written on our site, at the bottom, we'd rather shut our doors than lower the standard, and that's we're gonna keep that standard high.
100%.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing people will see too is they're gonna see the batches. We did Trizeptide 30 when I was in there, and there's 500 in that batch. They're gonna see like continuous testing over time, which is like, as you're actually producing a batch, not that you're getting, because the biggest thing that I see too is like anyone buying from like overseas or buying from a third party, they're like they get one sample from that batch and send it out, but they don't know if it's the same thing. So those batch numbers are like they're there's a point to it to like track back to like, okay, I bought it at this time period, but you guys are actually tracking when you're lyophilizing, which I think is an important part too that not a lot of people realize. Like this will be the first true, like, we lyophilize 500, we're sending out one from that batch to get like tested, and then next time we lyophilize, we're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So that whole
every batch will have a different lot number with the test results to go with that specific lot number. So
and a batch report, right? So every step when they're in there compounding the stuff, every step is signed off and initialed, so we know exactly what happened when. And we can go back and track every bit of this. So that's just an extra step that a lot of people don't know about, and it's not possible to do unless you're doing all this stuff yourself. So cover more bases there.
No, I was surprised in there too. We saw signing off on everything, doing that part, but even the filter, when they're like doing the lyophilization, like they take that and they test it afterwards to make sure there was no like contamination or anything. Right. Sam's like, we're gonna keep that, we're gonna test it afterwards, make sure that batch was good. And it's like that, even from like that portion, there was, I think on that sheet there's maybe 19 steps on there or something crazy. Like it's done the same procedure every time, and then kind of just like going back and forth perfecting the process. If anything goes wrong, you can kind of go look back at, you can track down, pinpoint like it happened between these steps, we can go back and fix it. So I think she's been great with that, like keeping track of it, but also you guys are doing new peptides constantly, so like lyophilizing them. I think we talked about like glutathione. There was like an issue where it like gelled with stuff. And like
I threw 900 vials away. That hurts, but again, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying. We're not gonna lower the standard just because it's easier, saves us money.
Yeah. I think they'd be interested. What's like the biggest hit for you in this whole process with like, or maybe your favorite one that you ran into that caused a bunch of like headaches during like trying to set this whole thing up?
I think for me it was when we got our first test results back. Yeah. And it was 30 milligrams of, was it Terz or Retta? Retta. 30 milligrams of Retta, and it came back at 24 milligrams. I was like, what did we do wrong, right? So start researching, start making phone calls, talk to some experts, and we figured it out. I mean, it's the you just lose the process of the freezing and the freeze drying. So it took me until we got our next test results back to show that we figured it out for me to kind of have a sigh of relief, right?
You're like, oh crap.
Absolutely.
I think we were both probably up all night looking stuff up that night. And then we actually had a meeting right here in this room, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't find anything. I don't know what it is. I was like, maybe it's just the freezer. And he's like, no, it's just loss. It's just what happens. After talking to the people that we talked to. And I still couldn't believe it. I was in disbelief, like he said, until we got the next round of testing back. And I'm like, okay, I guess it is. But, I just didn't want that to be the answer, because it's an expensive answer.
20% loss. Right? But, it's all right. We adapt and overcome. So.
No, that was like, you guys have all the materials to do it too. Like even from that side, I think we showed like the walkthrough. There's like Trizeptide. There's like 400K worth of Trizeptide and like raw powder, which is insane from like that aspect. But you guys like have all the stuff like for all these different peptides. Like you plan to kind of expand out, so just so they know there'll be more stuff rolling out like after the first initial launch. There's already stuff being tested. Yes. There's already stuff in the works.
Absolutely. We probably won't even have a third of our products when we launch. We're excited to launch. We have some of the popular ones, which is why we want to go ahead and do it now. But there's a lot more to come. We'll easily have 40 different peptide options.
Yeah.
We'll have a variety of blends. We'll have quantities that people aren't used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you mentioned people are excited for bigger vials of tesamorelin.
Yeah.
We're going to have that 32 milligrams full.
Yeah.
Month supply for most people. The way they dose it, they won't have to be reconstituting it every week or whatever the case may be. And there'll be so many more changes to come as we find out what our customers want.
Yeah, and that's what I think I'm most excited about is, we've already talked about a couple custom blends, talking about like just having GHK and KPV in a blend.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's as simple as you putting on a vote on the school community.
Yeah.
And if we can get, 50 people to vote on something that they want that's custom, that can't be, that nobody else can get, right? Because it's, you can't import custom orders the way we can just make them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be able to just get what customers want.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
not have to worry about trying to get it from somebody else because we do everything here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the launch specifically, but I think people will be more excited like how long term you guys are thinking in regards to the whole company, setting it up right. We're doing for all the orders over like 500, the 5% that's in there, like the lifetime savings on those. That like people will realize this is gonna be like an all-in-one like place where we have a bunch of there's a bunch of different peptides. There's not just like your 10 that like, because it'd be super easy for you guys to be like, okay, like just we're gonna focus on these 10. We're only gonna buy these powders. So we can buy more in bulk, but you kind of have the whole thing going on where it's you got all the varieties of like stuff. We can do custom stuff, everything like that. And I think the way you guys are setting it up to be customer focused of it really just depends on them on like what is popular, what's actually useful too, because there's a lot of stuff like it just doesn't make sense. Like the tesamorelin, if it's gonna last like a month, then there's no reason not to do it.
Right.
Like why hasn't someone come in and do it? So I think that's gonna be the most important piece. I think people will be happy with, but also like from your side, you're always thinking like even talking to me, you're like, well, we'll see kind of how the customer drives like the future of Valor.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want people to feel taken care of.
Yeah.
We want them to kind of smile right when they reconstitute and just there's no, you don't have to do anything but put water in there, it's done. We want from the quality of the actual peptide to the customer service to the packaging, we want it to be the best.
Yeah.
And that's been our goal the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, like we just put this together in like the last couple hours. We were talking about like the build a kit option of like, because you guys can do it, like
Right.
like just select different stuff from the site and like more features like that customers like want to see in the space in general of, hey, like I'm gonna be buying like there's people really into it that's like, hey, I'd have like 2 of each of these and like that'll last me, like I know I'm always thinking about like 3 months out as like a customer. So like cool stuff like that you size wise, but also just putting stuff together that's like random is like the opportunities are endless, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna have you already talked about it, the first the first 100 orders, $500 or more, we'll get that additional stackable, lifetime coupon to use with your code. And then, and the build a kit, it was one of the most requested items in the school community. The larger tesamorelin is another one. And as the school community grows, we're going to be able to, we plan on launching with a loyalty program for the school community specifically. So as your platform grows and the school community grows, we'll be able to offer more and more things to not just the school community, but to everybody else. And you have such a big, the school community is getting so big that it gives us, I feel like, and you probably feel the same way, I feel like it gives us a good
measuring stick.
For the market as a whole.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to have. It's good to be able to tailor it to them.
For sure. And we even like I said, I've been super excited for this last 2 months. We've been talking like all the way through because it's like you kind of see all the concerns that come up in the space with different people from the transparency stuff that's gone on like within the space of like seeing everything on the back end, but also just in general like people that think like things that people want to like be implemented in the process of like a feature of a build a kit or like certain sizes and stuff like that. And it's awesome that like we can bring it all together at once, not like a slow incremental process of like, hey, we're gonna like, move from, we're testing net content, net period, we're gonna go one step up in testing and then move that up over time as people like it. I think you guys have come in and solved a lot of the issues, and it's gonna be a big standard shift in general from, it doesn't feel like a research company, you know what I mean? It really just feels like everything's put together in one spot, and then the potential for just, to grow, the potential for growth, the way you guys have shipping set up and everything like that. Like, I don't foresee any of those issues going on. Like, even the way you had it set up for the other side of it, like the supply chain with like the pens and stuff, or like the other side of things, like you guys have it down to a science already. You have the people to do it. I know the intentions are like good behind it to like do it right for the customers. So like I think people will really this whole thing, like I've been hyping it up, like I said, since a month ago I started posting like be ready for this date, and like people are like, oh, like it's probably just a sale or something like that. Everybody's like, oh, it's gonna be like a sale with like a discount. But even from that side, like I think the base price, I was shocked when I saw the price sheet, to be honest with you guys. Like that was probably my biggest thing, was like they have this price sheet and they're like doing all this extra stuff with like the loyalty program, they're doing like the coupon code, they have just the way everything's been built out has been really customer focused, and like not just to check a box, but to do it the proper way. So like I've seen that with like all the entire, like all the businesses that I've kind of like seen transparency wise. So like I don't know, I have to thank you guys for that, like setting it up, and then obviously giving me this opportunity to come out here and like really just walk through everything. Like I said, I think I created this like 6 months ago. Like never thought like any of this would like happen. I think it's all coming together at the right time, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. So yeah, I don't know where like you guys like picture like it going with everything with like the research side, but I think you guys definitely have an opportunity to be one of the biggest in the space, for sure. And with I don't know, like customer first, I think that's how you built all your other businesses up. That's how it sounds at least, and like the people you have around. So from that side of it, I can see a lot. And I don't know if they have like they have questions or anything. I know you're going to be in the school community at least, like answering that, and you guys want to keep opening up. I was grateful that you guys sat down to like do the interview, because that's the other thing, a lot of people won't show their face in the space. It's transparency wise, they like, there's a couple that have like their names out there, but you don't see anything on the back end whatsoever. So like I guess what kind of made you want to open up that way?
Just knowing that we're doing things the right way. I
Yeah.
mean, what's there to hide?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I think it's that simple for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Kyle too, like I can tell, like we've talked probably 24 hours on the phone since we like launched this thing. We literally I drive home from work, I hop on a call with Kyle for 3 hours. He'd be like, all right, I gotta go do something else. And I was like, yeah, same here. But I can tell that there's like a passion for it behind the scenes too.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we both of us, I think we both love the space.
Yeah.
We love the space. We love what the potential of optimizing somebody's health, and not just it's not you say it all the time. Research doesn't work unless you do.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's from nutrition to fitness to whether it's hormone replacement or peptides. I mean, there's so many ways people can be healthier and live a better life, and we like being a part of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I think especially you guys like being in the military, like seeing all these guys like bodies like beat up and like all this stuff, you guys have seen like how much change has happened there in the space with like peptides and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like I know you specifically, like you're one of those guys who's like, I gotta try it, make sure it's like actually beneficial to people, and like even from that side of it, just seeing it like actually change people, and I think that's probably the driving force for doing it right too. Of like, actually caring about the end consumer and making sure it's done right.
For sure.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything if there's anything else that we didn't get into, you guys want to talk about?
No, man. I think we've I don't know. I'm proud to have built it with them.
Yeah.
Like you said, going back all the way, and we want to do things the right way, perfect it, and that's what we plan on doing. So hopefully they see it with these orders.
Yeah.
If they order once or they order 20 times, we want to keep it consistent, keep them coming back, and invest in them, and make them feel good about using us. So
Yeah. No. Overall, I honestly think I think a lot of people will just be impressed off the bat, but this is only phase one of getting everything out there, and
absolutely.
we went through the lifealization phase of doing the research part, doing all the research to get it right for launch, and now it can kind of grow and expand out from here. So I think they'll see within the next coming weeks new stuff continue to get added to the site.
Absolutely.
Coming back for we might do some random sales here and there, but stuff to keep people coming back, and their feedback's probably the most important for you guys and me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so if there's anything custom, anything size wise that people question, I know you guys have always done it. Even with the amber vials thing, if it's something that doesn't make sense to do, we won't do it, because you know what I mean. Even if somebody thinks there's gonna be some research or something behind it. Everything's gonna be step by step. We'll look into it. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, we're not gonna send that out to you guys. That gets tossed to the side.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be active in the school community.
Mhm.
I mean, we have a direct line to you to us. And we'll be communicating with people what they want. And we're always open to feedback.
Yeah.
Whether if it's feedback we like or feedback we don't like, everything, it helps us get better. So,
No, for sure. But yeah, I guess we'll end it off there. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, I'm grateful for the opportunity just to come out here. When I started this, never thought I would. I posted a TikTok video on it.
You're crushing it, man. I mean, as you're telling us you're grateful that for us allowing you to come out here, we're grateful that you were willing to come out here. So we're beyond excited for Sunday and for next week, and just to see what we're able to do, and all the help that you are is I can't overstate how appreciative we are of that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's all coming together at the right time of I can give you guys the visibility you need, but people really need to see it, and I think it's going to go beyond the school community. It's going to go it's going to open a lot of people's eyes to what is possible. And honestly, even me being in this space for 6 months, talking with companies back and forth, I never thought something like this would pop up. Not now, not 5 years from now.
Sure.
So
that's cool.
yeah, no, I'm excited for Sunday. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll be in there.
All right. Well, end it off there, I guess.
Sweet.